this Saturday, but you can make your donation now to the Spring Member Match Fund. We use this money during the campaign to encourage other listeners to follow your good example, to support the music you hear on Jazz 88.3. Make your gift to the Spring Member Match Fund at jazz88.org or call 619-388-3037. And thanks.
You're listening to The New Jazz Thing. My name is Vince Outlaw. Joining us this evening is tenor saxophonist Ian Tordella. He's got a new disc out called Magnolia. And Ian, thanks for hanging out with us tonight on The New Jazz Thing.
Thank you.
So folks are going to be able to hear some of this music coming up this Sunday?
Yes, we'll be playing this Sunday at 2 o'clock over at the Bernardo Winery, and it's a wonderful outdoor venue, and I'm sure the weather's going to be great. You can sit outside and enjoy your wine. It's at 2 o'clock. It's going to be a free concert, and you can check bernardowinery.com or my website, iantordella.com, for more info.
So Tordella, Tordella. Excellent. Okay. So Ian, let's go back a little bit then and tell us how you got involved in music. Was it something that was around your house, pushed by your parents, or did you find it yourself?
Well, I had a saxophone in 6th grade, and I had taken a summer class, and then I played in band a little bit, and well, I pretty much decided I wanted to quit saxophone, and I had this thing sitting under my bed. So I asked my dad, can we quit saxophone? Can we sell this thing so I can get a video game system? Because I really need a Nintendo, and I don't need this sax under the bed.
I could really use the game.
I could really use a Nintendo. So he said, well, you have to take some lessons, and then we'll talk about it. So
now Nintendo lessons?
20 years later, well, some saxophone lessons. And he said then we would see. But now I guess he wishes he bought the Nintendo.
Well, hey, look, you look like you're supporting yourself. You got product on the street. You're doing all right for yourself. So then did you play? And that wasn't in San Diego. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in the Washington D.C. area, and actually Jeff Denson, the bassist, is also from Washington D.C. So it was a great scene around town. I studied with a wonderful alto player by the name of Jim Carroll, who worked with Woody Herman and a bunch of other people, worked with Michael Jackson. But I got to get out on the local scene a lot, playing with different funk bands, a lot of different groups, and there were a lot of older guys around. Bassist Butch Warren, I got to play with. He's on a lot of Blue Note records, and also my bass player Jeff Denson studied with Butch, and there were a lot of older guys in the scene sort of mentoring us young kids who wanted to come and sit in on our one tune at the jam session. So,
and did they tell you had to come with something more than one tune, or?
Oh, sometimes, sometimes we'd sound good, or sometimes we get something thrown at us. But it's all part of the process.
Right. So were you were playing in more pop, R&B, funk kind of things, but then was there actually work playing jazz for you, or was it more sitting in jam sessions at that point?
Mostly at that point, jam sessions, and then I went on to college at the University of North Texas, where I really started to exclusively play jazz and got to meet a lot of great musicians and really get hooked into the scene and get involved with the music and start to listen to all my favorite players and take solos off the records and absorb the repertoire of all the great tenor players of the 60s and 50s.
And so you went to, because Texas has a great jazz program, very well known. And so you went there specifically to play jazz and to learn jazz? By that time you had made that decision?
Yes, definitely, yeah. When I was 18, I went down there and, did the Bachelor of Music, and I was in the jazz program with a lot of other great people. Actually, Nora Jones was there as a jazz piano major. We played together, and there's a wonderful bass player, Ryan McGillicuddy, who's in LA now, and a bunch of other great musicians. But it was, you learn from the teachers, but also learn from each other and just from the scene. Right. So there were so many people there. It was a really great environment to get into the music.
So did you get a degree from there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I graduated with a bachelor's from there, and then I actually continued and did my master's out here at San Diego State in saxophone and flute.
And that part of the program with Rick Helzer and Bob Yeager?
Right, Bill Yeager.
Bill Yeager, excuse me.
I studied composition under Rick, and was also studying outside of school with Charles McPherson, who's
huge.
huge a saxophonist, but also happens to live in San Diego,
Yeah.
so it's a blessing to have him here.
Stealthily living in San Diego is Charles McPherson. So then, so how did you end up coming to San Diego then? Was it from college and you made the jump here, or what brought you here?
Yeah, I moved out to the West Coast, and I have some family in LA, so I had planned to move to LA and make it huge on the jazz scene, and then I wound up coming down here, and I found it to be a lot more friendly, less traffic, and there are tons of great players down here that I was able to start working with, and really helped my playing to work with some of the good people in town, like Rob Thorson and Joey Carano, and a bunch of great bass players. Bob Magnuson's here, Jeff Denson, Danny Weller. So it's really a wonderful scene. There's a handful of excellent world-class musicians living here. Some of them in the shadows,
right.
But there are a ton of wonderful jazz players down in San Diego.
Well, then let's talk a little bit about the future before we head off into another tune and end the New Jazz Thing tonight. What kind of things are you working on in the future? You mentioned a little bit about who you're playing with around town. Do you have more music like that you've recorded here on Magnolia, and that you're thinking that you might be able to record? And what does that go in any kind of different directions that may be different from what we're hearing here?
Well, we're keeping the vibe the same, but we are planning on doing another record in the next few months, and this record was all originals. But we're going to get out some of our standards, but we have, I call them reimagined standards. They're not exactly arrangements. We're sort of deconstructing them and putting them back together. So we have a few jazz standards, and we may do a few jazz arrangements of some pop tunes or some obscure tunes by electronica artists, and then a few originals. So all that will come together for the next project, which will hopefully be out by the end of the year. But this record is available right now, and you can check it out. It's on iantordella.com, and it's also on iTunes.
Excellent. Well, and then remind folks where they can hear you and who you're going to be playing with this Sunday.
This Sunday I'll be playing with the Quartet, and we're out at Bernardo Winery up in Rancho Bernardo from 2 o'clock until 5. And I'm going to be joined by the amazing Joey Carano on guitar, local favorite Danny Weller on bass, and from LA, ferocious drummer who's on my disc Magnolia, Mr. Brian McLaughlin.
Excellent. Well, Ian, thanks so much for hanging out with us. It's great to see a new disc from, as I said, San Diegan, and good luck with this and the date this weekend and everything else you got going on.
All right, thank you. It's great to be here.
Ian Tordella here on the New Jazz Thing, and that's going to be it for the new for this Thursday session, March 18th, 2010. We've got lots more happening out on the newjazzthing.com, so you can visit us out there, and remember to stay right tuned to jazz88.org and do what you can to support your jazz station and the live jazz music that Jazz 88 supports, the live interviews, and all the new music that you as folks who support Jazz 88 help to bring out. So continue to do that as we move into our spring campaign next week. And we'll check you out next week here on the New Jazz Thing. Take care of yourselves and take care of your neighbors, whatever you do out there, and make it real. Excellent.
All right. Cool. Well, thanks for having me on.
Hey, it is